You know how happy the government would be if nobody was out in public to record their police? Or you know how happy government officials would be if the businesses that they co-owned or had hella stock in were to go up and that their competition, which is small local businesses, were to disappear? Do you know how happy the government would be if less people were watching them? If they had less protests going on? Do you know how happy government officials would be if they could do exactly what they're already doing, but even faster? This is where social distancing comes in. Social distancing is the most clever thing the American government could have done to achieve everything that I said at the start of this podcast. Small businesses are dying, but big ones are growing. Which means politicians are getting their money up. No one is outside to record the police anymore. Which means it's less paperwork. Which means it's more government control. Yes, there are protests, but not as much. I bet you there would be more if lockdown wasn't a thing. And if someone is going to tell me to sit here and think that the government doesn't realize that by having this lockdown, they are also getting all these side benefits, I don't know what to say. Obviously, the government knows that lockdown does so much more than slow the spread of corona. Obviously, they know that. They see that. Their pockets are seeing that. They're not getting as much resistance to whatever they've already been doing. And that is my theory as to why the government is so heavily invested in making sure that social distancing is the new normal. I come from a city in which 1 in 3 people are undocumented. What that really means is that these people have always worked for less than minimum wage, have worked without documentation, and therefore can receive no stimulus check, no unemployment benefits. They can't fight against an employer. They can't file for nothing. Nothing. It's as if they're ghosts. So, unlike many of your parents who are lucky enough to be able to work online, a lot of these people, a lot of what would have been my parents in the past, and what is a lot of my friends' parents right now, they work just as hard as they always did, even through the highest peaks of corona. Mind you, we're in New Jersey, which at one point was the epicenter of corona. And they've been working as if nothing's been going on. And let me tell you right now, yes, people have died and may they all rest in peace, because corona is a real thing and I know that real people are dying. But it's not as serious as the government would have you believe. And to me that makes sense, because if you're a government and you see all these side benefits coming in, wouldn't you want to make people more scared of corona? Wouldn't you want to exaggerate the importance of social distancing so that your interests that no one else sees could also be pushed? And I think the best strategy that the government could have done was taken the enforcement of social distancing out of their own hands and out of the hands of their police and put it into the hands of the people. Because what we're seeing now is an overwhelming amount of people genuinely having an aneurysm when you dare open your window and take a breath of fresh air. How dare you? How dare you go outside? How dare you do this? How dare you do that? And there's no excusing people who are out there having parties right now in small rooms with 100 plus people. No excusing that. And even if corona wasn't a thing, that's still dirty. But there genuinely are people who are hyper aware to social distancing and they enforce the hell out of it. And what that's gonna do is that it's already annoying people. It's annoying me. And little by little, it's going to motivate people to not step outside as much. What happens when you don't step outside? You lose community. To some people, that might not seem like a big deal. And to those some people, those are white, middle class, and up people, right? Who their police are in their favor, the governments are in their favor. Nothing happens because they could literally rely on the system. So they don't need to rely on themselves. The sad thing is that not everybody's like that. There's people who can't rely on the police, who can't rely on their schools, who can't rely on the police. Oh, I'm sorry, the government. They can't rely on nobody, and they can only rely on themselves. And when what we call ourselves is broken up, what happens? More exploitation, more human rights violation, more abuse, more setbacks. I don't see how people aren't seeing this. I can't be the only one. And I excuse people, again, who are white and middle class, because you guys aren't supposed to see this, because you guys are blessed and you guys will never feel that. But to everybody else, I don't see how you don't see this. I really don't. For years, I swear to God, these people have been saying, we only have ourselves, we only have our community. And now they're the same ones having an aneurysm when they see any resemblance of community. Again, Corona is a real thing. But if you really think that the government is gonna let Corona go to waste without pushing its own agenda, you're stupid and you need to wake up. There's a saying that I really, really like, and it goes like this. You should never let a tragedy go to waste in politics. What that means is that whenever something so shocking happens, like 9/11, the attack on Hiroshima, or even Corona, anything crazy, the government puts in policies that benefit it. And what happens is that people are so shaken by the tragedy that they overlook the implications of whatever new initiatives the government is doing. Look at 9/11 when they passed the Patriot Act. That's what gave the government power to surveil us as much as they do, to look through our webcams, to access our messages and not even tell us. And now we're complaining about it, but they got it in place because they didn't let that tragedy go to waste. Corona. You're going to see. Mark my words. Save this podcast. Screenshot this pod. Do something. But mark my words. What's going to come out of Corona is a new world where people stay inside. And no one is going to feel the harm of that except the people who can only rely on their community. No one's going to record the police. No one's going to be able to see who's exploiting workers. Yes, workers are going to work no matter what. But with the dangers of them, of everybody else kind of staying home and then lower class people going to work is it's almost like they're working in the back behind closed doors and nobody's watching. Another thing. What's going to happen to everything that's been fought so hard to build up? Any semblance of community that we have is going to be gone because people are too blind to open their eyes. And now they're like minions for the government, telling people, yelling at people. To 6 feet, 6 feet. Oh, don't go outside. Oh, are you dumb? You're disgusting. You're dirty. I'm telling you right now, lockdown is the dangers of Corona are being overstated. It's a serious thing, and may anybody who has been touched by Corona, you're in my prayers. And if you're gone, may you rest in peace. But the dangers of Corona are being overstated, and I see that because I come from a community in which people had to live as if Corona wasn't a thing. Social distancing is the most clever thing the government has done, and possibly checkmate. They won. Let me know what you think. Stay safe, and thanks for listening.